Hello my friends, this is Wake Angel 2001, and I'm coming at you with the first video of its kind. This is a special Patreon supported video. I made the announcement in one of my previous custom videos that I was changing my tiers because it was taking too long to make minifigures and I kept losing track. So now I've edited the tier rewards so that those who donate $5 will be able to get me to make a special video request for them. So as long as you keep it up, you can keep on requesting a new video every month when your payment clears. So the first one to take me up on this offer was Media League. And he wanted me to do a video about my Sash Lilac figure, you know, from Freedom Planet. Don't worry, I am still working on people's figures, so I'm just waiting for paint to dry right now, so I figured this is the perfect time to do the recording, because it's my day off, and my last day off, well, I didn't have any energy because it was way too hot. In fact, it's still way too hot, but I gotta do this. So Freedom Planet, that was a game. My initial experience with Freedom Planet was when it was released on the Wii U back in 2015. Although from what I've read up some of the history of it on the wiki, and it turns out that it was originally supposed to be a Sonic the Hedgehog fan game. Published by... Sorry for the jump cut, I just realized I had notes which I had accidentally tabbed off, and I didn't want you to spend time watching me awkwardly mess with the computer. So, yeah, it was published by Galaxy Trail, and that's actually pretty cool that you start out making a fan game like, hey, why don't we just make an original property? And yeah, it worked out really well. I mean, you could see the DNA of Sonic the Hedgehog in there as you have the same kind of curvy platforming going on and the jumping mechanics. But you know, there's no simple ring system. There's an HP system. Your characters have unique attacks, and trust me, the game's actually pretty hard. Like there were some parts of the game where I just straight up beat the levels through raw attrition from just pounding at them with more lives, and the level had death traps. So yeah, I managed to beat the game using the main character Lilac. Unfortunately, because of the Wii U's relatively short lifespan, it's already in storage. I've been meaning to fish it out of storage, but everything's such a mess right now, because I actually have over a dozen Wii U games that I never actually finished, a couple that I never even actually played, but, you know, the next console generation came up on me so fast, I've been trying to keep up with my Switch game playing. But yes, to put yourself in the headspace of a Sonic fan in 2015, you have to remember that the last time we saw like an old school classic Sonic side-scroller was back on the Game Boy Advance, like the Sonic Advance trilogy, literally. I mean, there were other side-scrollers. You had the Rush games, you had Sonic Colors, and 2011 saw the release of Sonic Generations, which brought back the original classic Sonic. And although a lot of those were side-scrollers, they didn't have that old-school feel. You know, the momentum physics, the 16-bit graphics like you would get from a Genesis. Yeah, those things just weren't quite there. Like, it was a close experience, but it was still too different. And there was still a difference, and on top of that, it had been a few years. So, you know, this was just exactly what the fans would have wanted at that time, like an old school Sonic the Hedgehog-like. I mean, a little bit after this game was released, we would end up getting Sonic Mania, which was a true 16-bit styled Sonic game. But, you know, like, this just came on the perfect time. It was a perfect release date for a really great game. And I feel like if there had been other Sonic games released, I personally probably would have still got it because, you know, like, it's a game very similar to a Sonic game featuring a cute female protagonist, but, you know, like, I feel like maybe others might have glossed it over if they didn't have that Sonic-shaped hole in their hearts that they needed something to fill. From what I understand, Sash was originally supposed to be a hedgehog, but when they decided to make it its own property, they made her into a dragon. And I always thought that her character design, like, between the shape of her body and her overall color scheme, she really reminded me of Blaze the Cat. Like, if you told me that you were going to make a Sonic the Hedgehog fan game with Blaze the Cat as the primary playable character, and that's what evolved into Freedom Planet, I totally would have just believed that. So, as of the time of this posting, apparently the long-awaited and several times delayed sequel, Freedom Planet 2, has been released, but only on PC so far. Apparently, the console releases are set to come out later this year. I mean, we're already in July, which is past the halfway point, but I'm looking at the wiki, and the last thing they said about it is that console releases are coming in mid-2023, so hopefully it'll be released on the Switch so that I can actually play it, soonish. I'd really like to give it a shot. But, this isn't a review of a Freedom Planet game. This is supposed to be about the figure. So, the overall making of that the figure came from, you would have seen that if you go back to my Sash Lilac post. I could always use some more views. Go ahead and watch that. But, I guess I can provide some extra insights, stuff about the figure that, the unique making of journey, things that I might have glossed over in the video. So, let's go ahead and look at other stuff, and I'll see if I can dredge up any trivial bits that might be interesting enough to satisfy Media League and his desire to know more about the Sash Lilac. Alright, so if I'm going to be talking about the Sash Lilac figure I made, then I've got to talk about the base toy, Daenerys Targaryen. Now, I'm not exactly a huge Game of Thrones fan. I mean, I was cursorily aware of it through cultural osmosis, but I never really watched the show for myself, and I don't really collect any Game of Thrones merchandise. But this Daenerys figure was so perfect for making customs, especially if you wanted to make a female Sonic character in 4-inch scale. Like, the proportion of her limbs and torso was just perfect for it, provided you put on some good old hands and feet from a Mobian figure and swapped out the hands. I used this figure to make at least 6 different characters over the past couple years, and Sash is only one of them. As you can see from the supercut, I've used her to make both Tangle and Whisper, as well as Blaze the Cat, and even the other Freedom Planet girl, Milla, the Basset Hound. And, of course, a personal indulgence when I use it to make SNT's 3D VTuber avatar form. So, yeah, it's a very versatile figure that's great for this. Although, now that Jakks Pacific is going to be making their own Blaze the Cat figure, which should be coming out the next wave of their toy line, that might be the ideal base to use for the next Sash Lilac. If the next person wants Sash Lilac and by that time Blaze has come out, Blaze might be a better figure to use as a base. I'm saying this because the Jakks Pacific figures with their universal jointed shoulders are more flexible than the ball jointed shoulders that the Daenerys figure has. But yeah, huge props to this Daenerys Targaryen figure. Literally, there are figures that I would have just abandoned the project. That does sound pretty cool, but there's nothing I can really use as a base for her, so I guess I'm going to have to just turn it down. I probably would have made Sash using a smaller figure, one of those Mega Constructs bodies, so it would have been like a Jazzware scaled Jakks instead of the Jack scaled Sash. Tongue twister. Of course, in addition to this Daenerys Targaryen figure that was used as the base toy, I have to thank Yellow Drill from modelsresource.com for, actually making a 3D model of Sash Lilac in the first place. This is actually a really cool little model. The thing is, I got a little bit over enthusiastic the first time I found it. I actually just tried to print it as it was, and that's when I realized that the texturing helps, but the model itself is pretty low poly. The thing came out looking very cubic. It's kind of like, remember the PlayStation and N64 era of 3D gaming? It was kind of like that. Everything was really angular and pointy, and it just didn't look natural at all. Maybe if I was trying to make a Sash Lilac robot, that could have worked, but I would need something that looked a little bit more organic. This is where my model guy, Corey Sonic Fan, comes in. This guy so helpful. He's the other reason why I've been able to do all this. I mean, the 3D printer that I have is amazing and it does all this cool stuff, but if it wasn't for his help, like, none of this would have happened. Like, he's the one that knows where to get the models from the games. He's the one who knows how to convert them and has the software to do so. And he has even made models from scratch. Like, although he refined Yellow Drill's model to be smoother so that it would look better when I printed it out, more organic, he actually did make from scratch the 3D models for Mill the Basset Hound and Carol T, the other two characters from Freedom Planet. Because, like, nobody had made any mods or those models on anything that I was aware of, so there was nothing to work with. He had to make those from scratch. So, yes, and, like, I'm not a single island here. What I have built is on the foundations of others who have helped me, and Corey Sonic Fan 22 from DeviantArt is definitely probably the biggest contributor in this. Even though I never met him in real life, but he is probably one of the most important people to me in my artistic career. So I guess that is the backstory of the Sash Lilac figures. I'm sure someday in the future someone's going to want me to make another one of these, and maybe, because the characters have new looks in Freedom Planet 2, somebody might actually want to see a new version of Carol, of the three characters, Carol, Sash, and whoever else happens to be in Freedom Planet 2. I think I'd be up for it. Plus, with Jack Pacific, I could probably use, like, a Rouge the Bat figure or Amy Rose to make as the base. So that we have, like, that extra playability that comes from toys that are made for kids rather than toys that are made for collectors. The figures that I made for using the Daenerys figure, they do pose and they display quite nicely, but you can't exactly play with them. And, I know some people would want to do a little bit more stuff than just have them stand around. But, this is where this particular outing draws to an end. Thank you all for watching. Thank you especially to Media League for contributing extra in the Patreon campaign so that I can continue to do this. And hopefully more people will want to see my insights. Remember, all you have to do is raise your support level on Patreon to the $5 level, and you too can make a video request. It can be on any kind of subject that you want to hear my opinions on. Don't expect me to make a new figure for you, because that's not what these videos are about. Like, I'm not, like, the custom videos are their own thing. Like, people commission me for those. Maybe I'll take a suggestion every now and then, but, that's not what these videos are about. So, once again, I digressed. Thank you all for watching. This is Wake Angel 2001 signing off.